Yeah, the strategy is to create an option for the district to exercise it if they want.
So the next option is joint occupancy, and this is exactly what San Diego Unified did with the Scripps Ranch project.
We skipped the page. Purchasing.
Purchasing.
Yeah, we talked.
Yeah, so,
No, go ahead.
okay. So under joint occupancy, we would jointly develop and operate a building with a developer. We would retain title to the site, and under this option, we would build something for the developer, most likely apartments, and something that we would jointly use, for example, like a community center, and then something the district would use, which could be a student learning facility like STEM lab or art center. And this is exactly what San Diego Unified did. And again, this ran into the same sort of challenge that there's not a lot of developers interested in this. And so they held a 6-month RFP process. They received just one proposal. Now they did move forward with that. It's called the Scripps Mesa Joint Occupancy Project. And there is a lot of controversy surrounding that because it doesn't seem to fit in with surrounding land uses. That's kind of the nice feature of the signing on right, is that if they're building single-family homes, that fits in very well with the adjacent land uses. Having a high-density apartment complex or something of that nature doesn't really fit with the adjacent community. Now, there are some interesting benefits and challenges to this bill, which I will mention. The benefits are that it is an ongoing revenue stream. We do retain ownership. We do get some sort of school facility learning center type of project that would benefit both us as well as the community. And then potentially some of the apartments, if they are constructed, could be marketed to teachers and staff for affordable housing. Now the challenges is that, as mentioned, not a lot of interest here from developers, and it's very complex, as you can probably imagine. We'd expect a lengthy and difficult negotiation process. So our thought is to go with the option of assigning a right to buy this property to a third-party developer. It seems to have the fewest legal requirements. It fits in with the existing community. Of course, in partnering with the developer, we want to have a very transparent process that is competitive. And, we're still thinking about this option. If you want to go down this road, we'd of course have a follow-up discussion to talk about more details. But for now, as a concept, wanted to get some feedback from you, see if you have any additional questions, and maybe receive your input about whether you'd like to go down this road.
Could I just add, if there were to be proceeds, if it generated proceeds to the district, those would be used for the schools, as I mentioned earlier, to serve the development. So it would go to benefit those schools.
If they have to, be required to.
Legally, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, the disposition of properties is surplus property that you sell, those proceeds have to go to restricted funds. So in the capital improvement or maintenance, that won't reoccur within a 5-year period.
But anywhere in the district.
Correct, anywhere in the district-wide. If you did something such as a lease scenario, that wouldn't be restricted funds. Those could go to the general fund or wherever you want to put them by the way of resolution.
Okay, there we go. So, yeah, I think there's a limit to 5 microbucks a minute. So, the idea behind this is that this is we've significantly reduced the CFD at 98-1A and B. We developed a new CFD and reduced the amount. There's no pay-go money that's being generated from those. And this would be, by having it earmarked, the funds earmarked for those schools that were mentioned earlier that serve that development. It also serves other schools, but that would be, the idea is to keep that, the money that's being generated by these bond funds that the homeowners are paying in that development. It makes sense that we would use those funds at those schools.
I just have a comment or whatever, or a question. So again, this scenario that's being suggested is going to realize that's the highest financial potential from the property. And clean, as far as I'm, lack of a better word, clean. So, because it will go to schools where its educational entity goes back into our schools, it has to do that. Also, I would perceive, I live near this, even though I'm not in the city, I would perceive if we went down that apartment path, that we would have a challenge with people in our boardroom, a lot. So, this does fit, and there already are apartments closer towards the freeway. I don't know what occupancy is there, if they're at full occupancy, even if, you know, they may not be. And there's also a park up the hill. So I think the residential thing would definitely satisfy the group at Pacific San Juan as they drive down the hill, and they can see all that, so.
Question, what do we consider what's the value of the property?
So we will plan kind of future discussion about potential valuation. No? So we'll plan for that for a later discussion, but we do, in concept, we do believe this is the option that helps us maximize the value.
Yeah, I'm supportive of this really. I believe in these kinds of concepts. I think districts like ours, people move into it, they have family and not. We have less of those options. We're aging out. We have a huge teacher shortage crisis coming, and this often, this gives us some options in negotiating. It replaces our calculus teachers in sort of high demand needs area, and the community benefits because we didn't do some monstrous kind of project that only the developer's going to reap benefits from. And I think this is probably a great model for the future of a district like ours that exists in Highwell, and without very little money, no money to do anything with it, which is the paradox.
I'm confused, and are you commenting on the joint occupancy?
Or the suggestion.
Because the recommendation is not joint occupancy, but assigning
Right.
the rights
So
to the third party.
which is it coming here?
Well, I
Do you
would,
want the Scripps Ranch type one, or the other?
I would prefer us to negotiate something that was more like the Scripps Ranch, but without controversy. So, harder, I agree, but
So, may I?
I think we got to this point, right? So, what do we do as a district? Because I think it's easier to do it this way.
Again,
The,
which way?
to maximize the value of the horse versus any rights of the BSC to a third party developer.
Okay, so assigning rights, that's
Yeah.
not the joint occupancy
No,
model?
no, it's not.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so, I'm gonna make a short speech, just a short speech, but, it seems to me we're faced with two real separate kind of dilemmas. And this is a school district, and, we have options in front of us that we can go one path or another. In one direction, we get a short-term financial gain and off the property. That money is invested elsewhere in the school district, but, $10 million lays pretty thin over this school district. That's, maybe the proceeds will be higher than that, but not much. Maybe less. The other thing, of course, is that we're in the school business, and there's, what Gary is talking about is a forever continuing commitment to schools with a revenue stream. So while the financial benefit of that may not be as great, the school facility, which is what we're in the business of doing, is a permanent improvement in the school district, which is the business we're in. And the value of that, comes back to the thing that always bothers me about school districts disposing of real property, and that is there's just no way to ever get it back. In these communities, the cost to buy a school site is astronomical. Especially since most everything is developed now, I think it's not just astronomical, but nearly impossible. So here we have a school site, and we're saying we're going to forego all future benefit, take one-time money, that's one choice, or we're going to do something with the site that's going to produce a permanent improvement to the school district, which is perpetual. No, permanent income stream, but also some kind of school facility, which is a perpetual benefit to the school district. We could put the ROP facility over there, we could put, you name it. It can be a permanent improvement to the school
But we
district.
accept higher risk when we do that.
That's right, and this is a trade-off we're facing. So it's money versus schools, and in short-term money versus perpetual benefit, you can toss this around any way you like. But it seems to me that there's a piece here that in the scenarios needs to be explored, and this is what I'm going to propose that we add to our list for a little exploration. And that is working with the city of San Juan Capistrano, which is the only group I can imagine is an interested party, to obtain a more suitable school site within the city of San Juan Capistrano in some kind of exchange for this. This site is in the wrong place, on a dead-end street, and it's too small for us to make use for any of the serious needs that we have in San Juan Capistrano. But we have very old schools in San Juan Capistrano, and we do have school needs. And there's lots of vacant land in San Juan Capistrano that's owned by the city. And it's designated open space, which means it's zoned for schools. We can put schools on open space property in the city of San Juan Capistrano. All we have to do is get the city to cooperate with us. So working jointly with the city, like bringing them on as a partner in the process by which we exercise the option, we might be able to secure this property for the city's purposes while obtaining something from the city in return elsewhere that is a lot more suitable and perpetual for the benefit of the school district. Because we have sites in San Juan Capistrano we have to get off of. Sooner or later, they're worn out. And
Right,
some
we
of
have
them are
to-
worn out now.
We really have to replace our continuation school.
That's
That
one.
is just not
Right.
a usable site anymore. And that is something that could co-locate with the RP campus very easily.
Someplace else. But
Right.
not at this location.
Not this location.
So this is not the optimal location for what we need, but it is the correct city. And and I think that we need to explore whether there's a joint interest in partnering in the acquisition of the property. Because they control the zoning, we should be able to wrap all that together and end up with a perpetual school district asset elsewhere. I mean, and maybe we make a deal with them that says we're not gonna build on that new parcel that we've taken acquisition for 10 or 15 years. We space this problem out because we don't have plans immediately to move those schools, but acquiring a more appropriate site seems to me
That was a factor.
So there,
is not a factor in what we've done.
but there's a lot of, moving parts in this, and this property is part of a mitigation agreement to mitigate the needs of that development.
Mhm.
So it's to make, I think we can continue this discussion and provide analysis to the board, but it's to make sure that this is focused on the point of how that property exists, which is to mitigate the development.
Right.
So if it's not a school that mitigates, that helps that development, it's funding or money that then also helps that
Students go.
that community, because they're paying the bond money, that's paying for the property, so if we have to acquire it, that community's paying that.
Well,
for that.
if we acquired 8 or 10 acres of land directly across the street from Marco, it would benefit that development.
It could, yeah, it could be.
Okay, and that's where the land is in this town. I mean, all these parcels that the city is presently trying to, figure out what the future of, they're all vacant. And they're within the attendance boundaries of this particular community.
So let me can I ask a question? So just the steps, if you were to have some agreement with the city, we still have to buy the property first. don't we?
That's right.
Okay, so
No,
we still have to go, what?
I think there is another option, and I
Okay.
think Grace can speak to
Okay,
that.
good.
Yeah, I can speak to that, thank you. There are a lot of options, and it's confusing because the education code and the government code are unwieldy, poorly written, and it keeps us a business, I guess, right?
Right.
We try to summarize all of those, and we can do that at future presentations on the exchange issue and bringing the information you want. One option could be to go with this type of recommendation, however. If you want to maximize value, you can still do that in the context of an exchange. My notion would be get into this scenario where you would have some upfront costs, have a developer come in and reimburse us for those costs and get through entitlement, knowing that there's certainty now in terms of the value for this acreage, the 7.2 acres, vastly increasing from $6 million, my sense of what that acreage is worth. And then prior to close of escrow on that, in terms of cash to us, we can have that developer buy another property that we can exchange. And we've done this. We've had it where a developer, working with the city, working through entitlements, knowing what it is that we're going to acquire, go out, buy us a site, and we do a summit.
I see that as a potential, but I'm placing myself in a position of a city councilman in San Juan Capistrano. They can't sell their open space. They can exchange it. They could lease a chunk of it to us for 99 years in exchange for use of another piece. There's a lot of things they can do, but I don't think there's gonna be any political will in the city to sell open space.
Well, but it wouldn't be so much selling open space as it would be selling in the context of an exchange agreement, an arrangement
Possibly.
whereby the district would, at the point that we are actually transferring title from the developer from the current developer to the developer partner that we bring in, we would simultaneously close escrow on the acres that the city owns.
This is probably not the right forum to debate the detail, but the problem I see with what you're talking about is if we jack up the value and then ask the city to match that value in an exchange, what we've basically done is taken them to the cleaners.
I appreciate that. It wouldn't be trying to take the city to the cleaners, we would need to say to the developer partner during our deal that, just like we talked about it in terms of us being cash at the end, we're just choosing to get a property at the end rather than cash. They're paying to the city the extra amount. It's the developer coming in, the developer, who's coming out of pocket with the check. They'd be buying, rather than our property, a different property that we would end up with.
Yeah.
And they would end up now with a property that's been afforded more of a financial impact.
And how does that developer identify this property that he's going to acquire?
We've done that in different ways. We can, depending on how involved the city or any other entity might be, you can inventory, talk about what our needs are, and look at it during the same time they're going through the process with our parcel. Or we've had situations where there was no city involved, and it's simply, hey developer, you're in this deal, we don't necessarily want cash that's restricted, we'd rather have a revenue source, so you buy our elementary school site, and we're gonna end up with an apartment complex, go buy us that complex, we'll swap. That's an exchange. So there are those types of transactions. And again, this type of thing is excellent, because if we go out of that, we're trying to set it back down to what I feel like, and that's where this is good.
Yeah. I'm going to close on saying that I think if we engage that city, that the entitlement process would go much more smoothly than if we were to try to force it. I'll just leave it there. I'm familiar with the hysteria in San Juan.
Right.
So I have a question, so I might have missed a step. So we don't have any money. So we now have another parcel, more suitable parcel. So what? Now what do? We can't afford to build a school. So I missed a
That's the
step.
next problem. We have $13 million. We're going to spend 6 of that to buy the
Right,
property.
to buy the property.
And we have the rest of it left over,
Which
which is not enough to build a school.
No. Okay, so, but we have an empty, so I'm probably
I
confused.
think we're talking two different things.
Okay.
One would be the scenario where we come out of pocket $6 million. We now have title to this property that we're talking about,
Mhm.
and then we're selling, leasing, or exchanging, or jointly developing, or something.
Right, I got that.
The other option would be to never take title to this particular
Right.
property. We then can forego a 7-Eleven committee and all these other things that we
Right.
talked about. All these other notices, it's not technically a surplus property procedure scenario.
Got it.
Okay, we're just in a contractual deal under the terms of our agreement now. We say, hey, we've got this agreement, we can buy it for $6 million. So we bring in a development partner
Okay.
to help forego, to help to reimburse us for the costs to do an entitlement package on that property. And then at the end, either have them give us $6 million plus B, whatever B is. We can talk about it in that
Okay.
session later. Or exchange. Instead of giving us those dollars, they could agree to give us a piece of property in
Okay.
exchange for our assignment to that property.
Yeah, which still, it's not,
So
it's
property-
short term, that's a
property
long term
protection.
thing. Okay, got it.
But either way, that would allow a developer to drive the price up on this property by doing the entitlement to be natural.
So I like this idea that Jim brought up. I think that's intriguing. I also like the concept of apartments, affordable housing for anybody. I mean, it could be teachers, but we are in desperate need of affordable housing in this community, you know, in our district. So, I mean, does it have, is affordable housing can only be constructed as apartments and he's saying no.
It doesn't have to be apartments to be affordable. Is that what your question is?
Well, what the city wants is apartments. The city of San Juan has already developed with Habitat for Humanity some non-rental units. And they took a heck of a lot of heat from the state of California for doing that. The state of California will never sit still for the city of San Juan in the next 20 years to develop any more affordable ownership units. I can guarantee this because I've talked to them about it and they are madder than anything about it.
Just on that concept then of the affordable housing or whatever, in whatever form, again, I'm concerned that that wouldn't give us the revenue we were hoping while we're even discussing this property with such great needs. So I don't know if that, why we can't really, we're not in a position to carry that wonderful altruistic thing and still help mitigate the students that we have and their facilities, so.
So if we take, so if, there's also, the purchase and sale agreement has a time limit to it. There's a trigger where we have to purchase the property for $6 million. And so, and that's a pretty tight time frame to make decisions like this. And again, the goal is to try to maximize the benefit of, as a result of this mitigation agreement for the school district and the development that they're paying, and the development's paying for the property, or they're gonna pay for, or they'll get the benefit of this, of any transaction that we do that would then generate the funds to help the schools that those kids go to. So,
And just to add to that, we can go down this assignment road and partner with the developer. And the discussion about whether that developer gives us cash or gives us a school site, we can have that as a second discussion.
Well, also, I do favor working closely with the city of San Juan on that. I believe that there's a path there. The second point I would make about affordable housing is that affordable housing is in the eye of the beholder, but it's not the school district's mission. The city of San Juan is under strict legal control in Sacramento. They're not going to shirk their affordable housing requirements. The developer that we would bring in on this property would be subject to those requirements, and the city of San Juan would have no way to walk away from it. So there will be an affordable housing component on the property if it's developed as residential. It's just going to happen.
Great. So I think then what we'll plan to do is have a future conversation where we really get into more details about how we partner with the developer and what this assignment could look like, what sort of valuation we expect. So we'll plan that for a future conversation. But in the meantime, we're thinking this is probably the road we're going to go down, and whether we get cash or land, we can have a future discussion about that.
So you're saying that the assignment of the rights could be compatible with Jim's proposal
Yes.
on
Yes, but
product.
exactly. But instead of us
Property
getting
transfer.
cash, we'd be getting a school site in some other location.
Okay.
That would be
And that
our
avoids any of the requirements we have to do to actually sell it, buy and sell.
Exactly. We would never take title and do the process.
Okay.
And that really is for an exchange for other words, even if we just do cash, we would avoid those property because
Right.
it's an exchange contractual value of the title of the property.
Right.
So just to
Is that
reiterate, we're
pretty-
good to go, we can take all these the other options off the table as
We're
far
not
as
gonna
building
build
school on the side.
We're not gonna build a school on the site, we're not gonna buy and sell.
We'll keep the board apprised of where we are in the
Okay.
process, because it's a short time frame. Because if things don't pan out the way they're expected to, then we would end up taking ownership of the property. We don't want to relinquish the potential ownership of it.
Right.
I don't think we want to make, I also don't think we want to make, I don't think we want to make any statement about what our intentions are now. I mean, this is a suitable school site until we decide something else. Tonight's not a decision. It's
Right.
just,
Okay, so
it's a
the-
guidance about where these guys are going to work.
Direction of something else to look at, yes, I'm sorry. So I was premature in saying, no, it's not a school.
Real quick before we go on, probably it's true in all the cities, when the governor dissolved the RDAs, 6 or 7 years ago, a lot of cities ended up with parcels in the RDA that, basically are owed to the school districts. And, I know there are some in the city of San Juan. And, have we talked at all about that? I know we can't do it tonight because we don't have the date here, but, and I don't know if the plan is to, give us those or sell them and give, and provide the proceeds to the school district?
They're all on the market right now.
Yeah,
They are, okay.
they're up for sale.
So the successor agencies so the RDAs are dissolved and they're successor agencies. And, the school district has a representative on the successor agency boards. And the disposition of the land in the RDA was either sold or transferred to city ownership. And as trustee Grady said, the land is now on the market.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to our next site, this should be